Happy Sabbath. Today is April 28, 2018, and we're going to study about Daniel 7 and Daniel 8. Specifically, we're looking at the sanctuary doctrine that is taught in the book of Daniel. And because we've been studying about the apostasies, and apostasies that has been going on even since heaven, is about Christ, right? About Christ. And when it comes to the apostasies that comes in, even in our Adventist history, it's always about Christ, Christ's mission, and Christ's priesthood. And we've been studying about Ballinger and the Holy Flesh movement, and how eventually he refused to believe in the understanding of the sanctuary doctrine as it was taught by our pioneers. All right, so we're going to study about our foundational beliefs. Right? Okay. All right. Let me go here. So, our foundational beliefs that we want to hear, that's written by Ellen White, because sometimes we say, okay, this is our foundational beliefs, and it is found in the 28 fundamentals. Is that our foundational beliefs? Well, that's what somebody says. But let's see what Ellen White says, okay? All right? So let's see some of them. But she's very plain. When you go to the CD-ROM and type out foundation of our faith, the Word of God, right? Right, the Word of God. The Bible is our foundation, right? And the Word of God is our foundation. And she becomes more specific. She says, the Word of the living God is our foundation, right? Is the Word of the Father is our foundation. And what did the Father say directly from heaven? This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And that is our foundation. But what else is our foundations and pillars? All right? The great pillars is what? The pillar is our sanctuary doctrine. I'm not going to read all of this. You know, we've studied this before. You know, we can use look back at the sources as the references, right? The sanctuary is one of our pillars, right? What else? What is our pillars? The main pillars of our faith. The Sabbath and the keeping of God's commandment. What? Right. Here are the patience of the saints. And it's Revelation 14. That's verse 12. That is the third angel's message. The keeping of the commandments of God, which includes the Sabbath. That's why it's actually teaching about the keeping commandments in the third angel's message. Sabbath is one of our pillars. All right? What else? We must let the principles of the third angel's message stand out clear and distinct. The great pillars of our faith, which is Sabbath and the sanctuary, will hold the weight that can be placed upon them, right? So the sanctuary and the Sabbath is on top of the foundation. And what's the foundation? Third angel's message. So the foundation, third angel's message is a foundation. Sanctuary and the Sabbath is a pillar that is on top of the foundation, which is the pillars, right?
Health message is part of the third angel's message.
Absolutely, it is, right? Because our health message, eventually, it becomes put on as a pillar. Eventually, it was taught starting in 1863, right? Yeah, absolutely. Remove not a pin or pillar from the foundation. Our foundation and of our faith has pins and pillars, right? The truth is the same as it has ever been. Not a pin or pillar can be moved. It was sought out in the Word in what? 1844, 1845, and 1846. Okay, what was sought out in 1844? Third angel's message, right? When was it given? October 22, 1844. That's the third angel's message. It was preached, and that's the foundation. What was taught in 1846? Sabbath, right? The Sabbath, right? Between 1844 to 1846, what were they teaching? And eventually they had to publish it and started teaching it starting in 1848. And 1849, they have been the sanctuary doctrine. And who was teaching it? Crozier, Hiram Edson, and F.B. Hahn, right? They were teaching it because when Hiram Edson received the vision, did he understand it? No, they didn't understand it yet. They had to search and understand it. So the sanctuary doctrine was something that they had to build upon, okay? All right. But the proclamation of the first, second, and third angel's message had been located by the word inspiration. It is not a peg or a pin is to be removed. So the first, second, and third angel's message is a foundation. Because no peg or pin can be moved from the foundation. So first, second, and third angel's message is our foundation, right? And Sabbath is put on, and sanctuary is put on, obviously health message, and dress reform and all that is put on, all right? Okay, all right. So we know. So if we were to say the foundation of third angel's message was preached, and the third angel's message is preached, and on top of it is the sanctuary message. You know, where do you find these truths written in the Bible? In which books? The foundation, our foundation. Revelation and Daniel, right? Specifically Revelation 14 and Daniel 8, right? That's why. And then when you go specifically more concentrated, you can see that it's actually Daniel 8:14, right? That's why Daniel 8:14 is the text for which our pioneers was hinging all their studies upon to come up on October 22, 1844. And that's basically, you know, I like to say it's Adventism 101, right? We have to know it. Yeah, we have to know it because it is our foundation. Because without the sanctuary message and without the third angel's message, what are we? We're not Seventh-day Adventists. We're just any other religion. We are not unique. That is what makes who we are, right? That's who we are. Okay, so with that, we're going to go into Daniel 7 and 8. Okay. All right, we have to go to Daniel 7, and we'll see exactly why we have to go into Daniel 7, right? But we've studied this. We've gone through so many, Daniel and Revelation seminars. We're going to go very quickly through Daniel 7, right? In the first year of Belshazzar, in the kingdom of Babylon. So Daniel was where? Where was he standing when he had this vision? In Babylon, on the first year of Belshazzar. So he was in Babylon, right? And he saw a vision. And behold, the four winds of the heaven, right? He saw a vision, and he saw four winds, and he saw four great beasts coming out of the sea, all right? Now, the thing about this, all right, we all know the stories. We all know the details of it, right? But we just kind of get a big picture of this, right? What kind of vision did he have? He saw the story of the nations coming out. So what kind of vision is that? Right. But when you go to Daniel 7, it doesn't say Chazown. Why? Because this is written in Aramaic. Daniel 7 is actually written in Aramaic. It is not written in Hebrew. Right? There's a big difference. And we'll understand why was Daniel 7 written in Aramaic, and then Daniel 8 is written in what? In Hebrew. Why did Daniel suddenly change? Daniel 7 is in Aramaic, Daniel 8 is in Hebrew, right? Yeah, we'll go into it. Why that is this? That's the reason. You'll see it. Why? Okay. We'll see. Right. But anyway, in Daniel 7, he saw a vision. Right. And we know this type of vision is in the Hebrew language would be a Chazown vision, because what he sees is a history of nations. Right. Coming out in successions. So he sees a historical vision. In the Hebrew language, it's called a Chazown vision, right? But anyway, right?
Prophetic.
Yeah, it's a prophetic. It's prophetic, right? It's a prophetic vision. Right. And okay, Daniel 7, verse 4. What did he first see? A lion. And the lion had eagle's wings. Lion is like a big, majestic beast, right? That comes out of the sea, right? Right. Okay, I'm going to move myself here to this other side. Okay, no, I better stay on this side. Right. Okay, so he sees a lion, right? And what does he see next? A bear. A second like a bear, and raised up on one side and had 3 ribs in the mouth. We're not going to go into all the details, okay? We're just going to go right through it very quickly. And it was a bear, right? What did he see next? Then he saw a leopard, right, with 4 wings of a fowl. Why is it 4 wings of a fowl? Why did it have wings? Because it was very fast. And it also had 4 heads. Why did it have 4 heads? Because it was then divided into 4, right? They had their 4 generals, okay? So, all right, okay. And dominion was given to it because then it conquered the world, right? Dominion, okay, all right. We're just going very quickly to it. All right. What's next? Then I saw a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and had great iron teeth. And it devoured and brake in pieces. Who's the breakers of God's people? It's Rome. All right. Okay, we know this, all right? Okay. And it was diverse. What does diverse mean? Different. Not only does it mean different, but it changes. Because Rome, what does Rome do? It changes from what to what? Pagan to papal. All right, all right. Yeah, it thinks to change times and laws. It doesn't change it. It thinks to change times and laws. All right? But it changes. And it had how many horns? It had 10 horns. So it's diverse because it's different, but also because it changes. Right? Because it'll change from pagan to papal. All right. Okay, that's very important. Okay. We're going very quick here. And the great beasts, which are 4 kings. These are 4 kings that shall arise out of the earth. And the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom. So this is the 4th kingdom. Okay, remember, 4th kingdom. Right? And it shall be diverse. Right? And the 10 horns out of the kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. And another shall rise after them. Okay, let's see. So this is a history. Because these are 4 kingdoms that comes. He's talking about his story. This is history. This is prophecy. He's seeing into the future. This is what's going to happen. Because where is he standing? He was right. He's standing in Babylon. And he looks forward. So this is a prophecy, right? He's looking at a prophetic vision, right? So we can kind of draw a line, right? That's why we draw this line, because it's a prophetic vision. We can put this on a line, right? We can delineate it, right? Okay, right. Right. So when we go through it, when we look at Daniel's from 23, 24, even until 28, it goes into the history of Rome. And what does Rome do? Right? It will think to change laws and make war with the saints, right? And yeah. And it breaks, it stamps on, and makes war, and prevails against, and wears out the saints. But the saints will prevail, and the kingdom and then eventually this kingdom is judged and destroyed. So in the end, Rome has to be judged and destroyed, right? All right. And out of the 10 horns are 10 kings shall arise another shall arise, then another shall arise, right? So this one arise. There's another that arise. And this one, he shall be diverse also. What does diverse mean? He also changes. Because what happens to papal Rome? Does papal Rome change too? How does it change?
Christian coming from pagan.
Now we're talking about papal Rome. How does the papal Rome change? No. He eventually received a deadly wound. He is forgotten. That's how he changed, right? Right? He's forgotten. And what happens? Well, he will arise again, right? So he changed. Before he was so strong, he becomes weak, and he becomes strong again, right? That's how the papacy changes. That's why the papacy is diverse. He also changes, right? The papacy. Pagan, Rome changes because Rome changes from pagan to papal. The papacy also changes because papacy became strong, became weak, became strong, and then it's cut down, right? Right? That's why it's diverse. And this one, it subdues 3 kings. It plucks out 3 kings. That's why there's only 7 now, right? Who are the 3 that he plucked out? The Vandals, okay, and the Ostrogoths. Okay, very good. So we're here. And then eventually we just jump down to verse 28. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. Why? He doesn't understand this. Nothing. He said, what? I'm here. I'm looking at all this. I have no clue what's going on. Right? But he kept it in his heart. How long did it keep it in his heart? No, for 2 more years. But in 2 more years, he had another vision. Right. Yeah. We're done with Daniel 7. We'll just go very quick. Right. Yeah, he was here, right? He was right here. He was looking at but he does not understand it because he was not given the meanings of these kingdoms. And what does this all mean? All right? Okay, now Daniel 8, verse 1 and 2. 2 years later, where was he? In the reign of King Belshazzar. Where is he still? He's still in Babylon, right? Now, this is now in what is now in Hebrew. Now it changes language. It's now in Hebrew, right? Now, the reason why it's in Aramaic before, because it's about the judgment for the kingdoms, right? This is the judgment of the nations. So the nations need to understand what's going to happen to them. So it has to be given in Aramaic so that the nations can also understand, all right? But now it's going to be in Hebrew. Why is it in Hebrew? It's for God's people now. It's for God's people, all right? Yeah, so that's one of the reasons, right? But where is he standing physically? Where was he? He was in Babylon because he was in the... Right, Belshazzar was still king, and he had a vision. This vision is the Chazown vision. See, it's a prophetic, historical, history going forward on a line, all right? So that's why it's a Chazown vision, right? All right, it's a vision. Appeared on me. After that which appeared unto me at the first. Okay, so what's Daniel saying? This vision, you have to correlate with the vision that I had with Daniel 7. So when you study Daniel 7, you have to put it on a line right on top of Daniel 8, right? You have to correlate it, which appeared to me on the first, right? Okay. Then I saw a vision. See, it says Chazown vision. I see this vision. And where was I when I was in this vision? I was in Shushan. Where is Shushan? In the province of Elam. Where is that? Where is Shushan? Medo-Persia. So where is he now, prophetically? He moves forward. He moves forward to the next kingdom. But he's still here, right? But prophetically, he gets He gets ported to the future. Okay. Right. Where is he? He moves from here to here. Okay? He moves to here to here. But physically he was in Babylon. But he sees in his vision. Now, why is that? This is very interesting. Why is he moved? Because what is the most important prophecy in Daniel 8? The 2300 days and nights. And when does that start? Does start in the time of Babylon, or does that start in the time of Medo-Persia? It starts in the time of Medo-Persia. So it gives a reference point of when the 2300 days will start. Yeah. That's why he's prophetically in the time of Medo-Persia, right? Which is 457. It's 457. So he is here. So he sees that he's in the palace. Okay, this is an artist's rendition of a palace in Susa, right? Shushan, right? So he's here in Medo-Persia time. Okay, right? Behind the river of Ulai. Okay, good. So far, are we? By the way, how far is Babylon from Susa? How far is the capital of Babylon from the capital? Oh, no. That's a good guess, but it's very far off. It's 1,700 miles. It's very far, all right? Yeah, from Iran to Iraq. Yeah, it's quite far, all right? Anyway, that's just a side note, all right? Okay. Well, just keep going. So what did he see? What did he see? A ram. A ram which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. So this is kind of an unusual ram, because there was a short horn, and then there was a higher horn that came up later, okay? So there were two horns, yeah. So this is a ram that had two horns, and one horn came up higher. It's an unusual ram, okay? Right. We keep going, all right? We know who this is, obviously. Right. Okay. And the next. And I was considering, behold, then came a he-goat. He-goat came from the west, right? And it had a notable horn. This is also an unusual ram, because it what? It only has one horn. He-goats don't have one horn. This is a very unusual ram, because a he-goat, it only has one horn. And the ram, it came against the ram that had two horns, right? It came against, so it attacked, right? And ran into him with fury of his power, right? And it brake the horns of the first kingdom here, the first kingdom, Medo-Persia, obviously we know, right? Yeah. So these horns, why is it always talking about horns? And these unusual animals, right? Right? And it cast him down to the ground, and it stamped on him. Okay, what does cast down to the ground and stamped on him? It is used over and over in prophetic, right? Yeah, it's defeated, and it gave him its executive judgment, right? Because what has, Babylon had conquered Judah, right? And had to give Judah a lesson, right? But now, Babylon had to be conquered, had to be judged. So when one kingdom conquers God's people, that kingdom will eventually have to be judged. Another kingdom comes in. And when that kingdom comes in, takes over, the time of that kingdom is over, another kingdom will come in and judge that kingdom. That you will be, what? Cast him down to the ground and stamped upon. This is very important. Cast him down and stamped upon. All right? Remember those terms. Cast down and stamped upon. All right? Okay. because you will receive your judgment. Okay? All right. And therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and he was strong. And his horn was broken. Okay, why is these horns always broken? All right? And it came up, there's 4 notable horns. There's 4 horns that came up. This one also has 4 heads. It's the 4 generals, right? The 4, right, okay. Right. And towards the 4 winds of the heaven. So there's north, south, east, and west. Okay, all right. Okay. And out of one of them came a little horn. I put this specifically for me. Why did I put an F here? This little horn is feminine. This little horn was feminine, which waxed great. But this feminine horn has a masculine character. That's interesting. That's a weird horn. Okay, yeah. So these horns are perverted horns. It's perverted. This ram is also a perverted ram. This he-goat is a perverted he-goat. This little horn is also perverted. Right? It's perverted. Okay? Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Okay, now you see ram, he-goats, and horns. What description is that talking about? And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And what did it do to the host? What did it do? It cast down the what? The host. What is the host? The people. What are the stars? The leaders. It stamped down the host and it cast down, and what did it do? It stamped. So who cast down? All right, we know this little horn is Rome, okay? Which Rome cast down and stamped on God's people? Pagan Rome, right? Pagan Rome cast down on the host, right? Stamped on the host. He stamped on the host, right here. From Daniel 8 verse 10, it said, it's pagan Rome that stamped down. And he magnified himself and even crucified the prince of the host, which is Jesus. Now this is where it gets interesting. And by him, the daily sacrifice was taken away. All right? And the taken away is what? Is room. And the place of his sanctuary, and sanctuary is what? Mikdash was cast down. Okay, this is where now I have to go into the interpretation. This is where the interesting part comes in. Because this is where even our pioneers had to study this, and they didn't get it right even in the beginning. All right. Now, when you study Crozier, when he wrote about the sanctuary, I went back and read the whole thing. What did Crozier say? Now, Crozier studied this in 1846, and he preached it in 1848. And what did Ellen White said? What he taught about the cleansing of the sanctuary is the truth, right? The sanctuary that is being cleansed is the truth. What sanctuary was that? Was that Kodesh or a Mikdash? The sanctuary that is being cleansed, that's Kodesh. But Crozier was wrong about this one. Crozier, he taught that when he magnified himself even to the Prince of Hosts, Rome magnified himself on the Prince of the Hosts, and by him the daily was taken away. He said taken away is being taken out instead of room. What does room actually mean? Lifted up. Lifted up. Room actually means lifted up. And then he said, and the sanctuary on heaven was cast down. This is Crozier. Crozier said that the sanctuary in heaven was cast down. Wait a minute, it's actually Mikdash. So when Uriah Smith, in his book, Daniel and the Revelation, taught this, he taught it the correct way. Because he said, Now he, which is pagan Rome, magnified and crucified Jesus. And by him the daily was taken, was what? Was exalted. Right? The daily was exalted. Pagan Rome. Pagan Rome. The daily was exalted. And the place of his sanctuary, what is his place of sanctuary? The Pantheon. The Pantheon, which is, this is a mikdash. It's the temple of the gods was cast down. Who cast down the temple of the gods in Rome? The barbarians, right? The barbarians cast it down. Now this is what Uriah Smith taught. And eventually, this was what was, what was believed by our pioneers. Okay. And a host and an army was given to whom now? Who is him now? Papal Rome. It was given. Now the army was given to the papacy against the daily, right? Against the daily, right? By reason of? Why was it by reason of transgression? Because the papacy, what happened, was all baptized at the same time. And he amalgamated what? All the pagan into Christianity. That's why it was by transgression. Right. What is the daily? Right. So what is the daily then? All right. Now I'm not going to answer this right now, okay? Right? We're going to do this directly from the Bible. Right? We can see this directly from the Bible. We actually, when we study this, we don't necessarily have to have William Miller interpret it, We can actually get it right from the Bible. And it casts down the truth. So, by him it's now the papacy, right? Against the daily by reason of transgression. Because the papacy now, by transgressing and become baptized pagans, right? They had transgressed. And what did they do? Cast down the truth. Right? They cast down the truth. Now the truth of what? The truth about what? Okay? Hold on that to that. We got to find out what kind of truth did they cast down. In the meantime, remember, what did pagan Rome do? Cast down who? He cast down and stamped on the host, all right? On God's people. He stamped down and cast down and stamped on the host, right? But papacy cast down the truth, right? Okay, so you hold on to that, okay? Just remember that, because now we're going to go to verse 13, and this is the where you can actually find it now. Then I heard one saint speaking to another saint. So this is one saint. Who's that saint? It's Gabriel, speaking to another saint. And unto that certain saint. Certain is, in the Hebrew word, is what? Palmoni. Who's the great Palmoni? Is Christ. So this Gabriel was talking to Jesus, right? This is the Palmoni, which spake. How long now? Now he says, how long shall be the vision? How long is this vision going to be? How long is this what? What kind of vision? How long is this vision? Right? Concerning the daily and the transgression of desolation. That both of them will what? Will trodden underfoot the sanctuary and the host. Remember before? Who trodden the host? Pagan Rome. Trodden host. Right? Pagan Rome. It's already said. Pagan Rome trodden the host. Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So we see, right now we'll stay right here, okay? We'll stay right here. It's pagan Rome that stamped on the host, right? The question is, how long shall the daily and the transgression of desolation, Who's the transgression of desolation? Who transgressed to make desolate? Papal. Papal Rome, right? Papal Rome. And what did the papacy stamp on? The truth. The truth about what? The truth about what? The truth about the sanctuary. Right? Because now what? It has to be cleansed. Now the word of cleanse is what? Tasdak. What does tasdak mean? It's righted, restored. It had to be made right because the papacy stamped on the sanctuary. So we can see right here, the papacy, okay, half of this, the beginning is paganism, which is pagan Rome, right? And pagan Rome stamped on the host. And papalism, the second half, stamps on the sanctuary. All right? It stamped on it. How did it do it? What did it do? It amalgamated
pagan customs with Christian customs.
the mass. Specifically, you can say the mass. Right? How to do the mass? It's amalgamated. It's stamping down on the sanctuary message. Right? Everything about Jesus. Now, who is the mediator now? The priest. Is it stamping down on the truth? Is it stamping down on the sanctuary? Absolutely.
Stamped on the truth about Jesus as the Son of God.
That's right.
That saying is coexist.
Right.
Eternal,
Absolutely.
all of that stuff.
Right. Who's the high priest? Yeah. Right. So do you see by this, we don't even need William Miller. Because right there he said, the first part, who? Stamped on? Pagan. Stamped on the host. And the second part? Papacy stamped on the sanctuary. So what is the question now? How long shall be the...
And the answer is until 2027.
Right? How long shall be the vision that the daily and the transgression... Now you answer. Now answer this. Who's the daily then now? If this is the daily and the transgression of desolation stamped on the sanctuary and the host. So who's the daily now? The daily. Right there it says, pagans stepped on the host. So it is the question is,
And then you also have the sanctuary.
the sanctuary, who stamped on the sanctuary?
But then yeah,
The papacy.
but it's saying how long the daily and.
That's right.
Now you're taking part 1 and part 2 and putting them together.
Now then you have to see the whole Chazown vision. How is the Chazown?
The Chazown vision is this long vision. You cannot separate the transgression of desolation and the daily. So you
Yes.
cannot separate the sanctuary and its host.
And it's host.
One of these powers trample the host, the other power
Trample on the sanctuary.
Yeah.
Right?
See what's happening?
You
So
see that happening?
So
it's the war going on, the opposing forces. It's the daily and the transgression of desolation.
yeah,
They
it's
are
both.
two powers.
You combine.
Makes up the Chazown vision. Paganism.
Right?
So it is the sanctuary and its host. They are-
Right. So this is
But she's asking what the daily is.
right. So when you go through this rationale, when you study just the Bible, just the way we just studied it,
So what is this?
it's not difficult to see that the daily is paganism. Because what did William Miller teach? What did our pioneers teach in the beginning?
And then why it said they all give the corrective of the daily when they give the judgment to our crime.
What did William Miller teach? That the daily is.
It has to come out of the way
Paganism.
the papacy and the throne.
We don't even need William Miller to tell us. Just by studying this. Because transgression of desolation, we know, everybody knows that's the papacy. Papacy stamped on the truth of the what? That has to be cleansed. That has to be on the sanctuary. And we know just from Daniel 8 verse 10 that pagan Rome stamped on the host.
He persecuted.
And then here, so when you put those together,
Pagan and papal.
pagan and papal.
In France, they said that the two witnesses were crucified.
All right.
No, there is no way where you're going to take out the Bible and just crucify the Bible. It has to be the people taking the truth. That's what the papacy did. That's what pagan Rome did when they persecute the host. They were carrying the truth. But the Bible said that the papacy, the transgression of desolation, trampled the truth. But someone has to be writing, preaching the truth, which is the host. So both of them just interchange.
Yeah.
Same.
Let me make sure I'm clear. So the sanctuary and the host you're trying to put, that's the Christian, that's the true sanctuary message, and the host is the true Christian.
Is God's people.
Yeah.
So
And
pagan and paganism going to trample God's
That's
right.
right. That's
So
right.
paganism tramples God. It's right from the Bible.
That's right.
Right? Right? All right. Now the thing is that, now this is the thing. This is very crucial. Studying this is Daniel 8:14. This is Adventism 101. This is Adventism 101. Right? And he said, how long shall the daily and the transgression of desolation, the daily and the transgression of desolation, right, trodden the sanctuary and the host? And the answer is what? Unto 2,300 days. Right. 2,300 days. 2,300 days ends when? 1844. And starts when? At the beginning of the Chazown vision. Right. Right? At the time of Middle Persia, right? Artaxerxes, right? That's why he has to be brought to the time of Middle Persia, because that's when the 2,300 days start. All right? Okay? All right. So now let's go to, here. All right? I'm going to have to go to see, do you see all these symbols? What symbols are we talking about here? The ram, the he-goat, and the horns? What symbol is that? What symbolism? Where's that symbolism coming from? When you see these ram, up here you see all kinds of, unclean beasts. But what kind of beasts are these here? Sanctuary beasts. These are all sanctuary symbols. Why is it all using sanctuary symbols? Because it's talking to God's people and talking about the sanctuary that is going to be cleansed. Because all these symbols are perverted symbols. They're all perverted. The ram is perverted. The he-goat is perverted. The horns are perverted, right? The transgression is perverted. What about the daily? Can the daily by itself? Now, can you see? This is the thing. To be consistent, can this daily be the Christ ministration? To be consistent right there? It doesn't make sense. These are all perverted symbols, right?
We have to be way in the future for the sanctuary.
It has to be, everything is perverted here. Even the daily is perverted. All right? Okay, do you see the logic? All right, this is very important. Okay.
Well, you have to tie this in.
Instead of, because some people will teach, and who teaches this? The Catholics and the Protestants, and even now, that it is Christ's ministration. But it doesn't fit, because is Christ's ministration perverted? No. It cannot be perverted. Everything else is perverted here. All right? Okay, so now I think you understand the logic here. Okay? All right. Pretty straightforward. So now we go to the atonement. All right? So we have to go, because October 22 is the antitypical Day of Atonement. So we have to look at the Day of Atonement, all right? Let's look at the Day of Atonement. The Day of Atonement is what? The 10th day of the 7th month. On that day shall the priest make an atonement to cleanse you, to cleanse the holy sanctuary, to cleanse the tabernacle of the congregation, the altar, the priest, and all the people. You have to clean everybody. So what kind of atonement is this? A national atonement. It's the atonement for everybody. And is it done daily? No, it's done only once a year, right? It is not done daily, all right? It's done once a year, all right? On the 10th day of the Sabbath.
So that tells you that the temple itself, the tabernacle, and the congregation are the host.
Right, yeah.
Together in the cleansing of the sanctuary. They are together.
See, the priest and the people,
That's right.
even the people are cleansed. So now we see, right? And from Leviticus, Aaron shall come into the holy place with a young bullock and a what? And a ram. Oh, now this is not a perverted. It has to be a.
That's why all the beasts are related to.
This is why the ram is a symbol of the atonement. But what was being perverted before? Right? You see that in Daniel 8. The beasts and all the symbols of those nations are all perverted symbols. All right? So this is the ram. And he shall take a congregation of children of Israel who will get 2 kids of the goats. So you got the ram and the goats, right? Okay. What else do you have to do? Exodus 30 verse 10. And Aaron shall make an atonement once a year in the blood of the sin of atonement. Once a year he shall make an atonement. On the horns. Horns of what? On the altar of incense, right? These are the horns, right? So you got ram, you got he-goats, you got horns, and these have all been perverted. Perverted.
You said preverted.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. It's perverted.
Prevert is not a word.
I know. Sorry about that. Thank you for correcting me.
Pervert.
Yeah, because... right. What about the daily then? All right, the daily, number 28. And thou shalt say, this is the offering that made by fire shall you offer. You have 2 lambs, on the first year without spot, day by day, for a continual, which means daily. Right? It's a continual offering. You have to do it daily. There's a daily offering, right? And there's also a meat offering, and there's also a drink offering. So you got a meat offering, which is flour, and a drink offering, which is wine. And it's daily. And it has to be given on the what? On the morning and the evening. What's the evening? The Arab and the Boker. Okay, why does it use the 2300 days? What is the original word? The 2300 evenings and mornings. 2300 Arabs and Bogers. But in the King James, it's translated as days, right? So this is the continual. It's daily, right? Evenings and mornings. These are the daily sacrifices. This is the daily sacrifice. All right? This is the daily sacrifice. All right? Speak unto the children of Israel. Okay. So this is another type of offering that you have to make when you actually have sinned. If this is a sin offering. So what do you have to do? You have to go, when you make a sin offering, you realize, oh, you know what? I have sinned. I have to have my sin blotted. I had to confess my sin. And what do? I have to pray, and then I put my hand on top of a bullock, right? Symbolically, I'm putting my sin on the bullock. And what happens to that bullock? It got sacrificed, right? And it's burnt on the what? On the altar, right? On the altar of burnt offering, right? But what happens to the blood? Right, it's sprinkled 7 times on the altar of incense, right? Or the incense. Okay, so your sins are transferred to the altar, right? In the sanctuary.
Sprinkled on the veil of the sanctuary.
Right. Within the veil. Oh, no, it's outside the veil. Before the veil. Because what is before the veil? The incense. No, before in front of the veil, right? The altar of incense. So it's what happens to your sin is transferred to the sanctuary, transferred to the bullock, and the bullock is because you sin, somebody has to die, so the bullock dies, right? And your sin gets transferred to the sanctuary, right, to the altar, right? Which is sprinkled on the horns, right? Okay. Yeah, right.
So when the blotting out time,
Right.
it goes with the incense and
Right.
clear.
Yeah. So your sins are transferred to the sanctuary, right?
Yeah.
And what happens to the rest of the carcass? It's burnt. It's burnt on the altar outside, right? It's burnt. Okay? This is what happens daily, right? This happens daily, right? Okay. All right. So we go to verse 15. And it came to pass that I, even Daniel, I saw this Chazown vision. Okay, I seen this vision. It's a long vision. And I saw the meaning. I don't understand it. Then I heard a voice say, okay, Gabriel, make this man to understand. Wait a minute. The Mareh. It's a different vision. It's not the Chazown vision. He says, I don't understand this vision. But then Gabriel says, make him understand the Mareh vision. What is the Mareh? What vision is this? The Mareh vision is when he saw the appearance of the saints. And he says, and the saint says, unto 2,300 days. 2,300 evenings and mornings. Right? That's the Mareh vision. Because now he says, I don't understand this, and I'm going to be given the understanding of the Mareh vision, right? Make him understand the Mareh vision. All right. Okay? And the Mareh vision, we now know, okay? We now know. The meaning of it is from 457 BC until 1844. That's the 2,300 days. Okay? 2,300 morning. No, it's not. It's not. It's a different vision. Yeah. So this is what we have. So the Mareh vision is when you see the appearance of Christ. Right? That's a difference. So when you see this vision, he didn't understand this vision. Right? But he was told that he was going to give the understanding of this vision, which is he is seeing the appearance of Christ talking with Gabriel. Right? That's the vision. So he came near and stood. I was afraid, and I fell upon my face. Understand, O Son of Man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. So the vision will be understood at the time of the end. And which we understand is 1798. Because they didn't know it. Yeah, because then that's when the Millerites start studying it. Daniel didn't even, the time of the end, all right? Now, yeah, he didn't understand the Chazown. He didn't understand the Mareh, right? He didn't understand these visions, but some of it he was given understanding, right? Now, as he was speaking to me, I was in a deep sleep, with my face towards the ground, and he touched me and set me right. And he said, behold, I will make thee known what shall be in the last end of indignation. Okay, here we go. What will be in the last end of indignation? For the time appointed, were the moed. For the time of the appointed time, the end shall be. Okay? Wow. There's so many different, this is deep. This is deep. Okay. What is the last end of judgment? Remember, he was stamping, this one was stamping on this one. This one had stamped, this one stamped on this one, each one was stamping on each other, right? And they were proclaiming the executive judgment that's supposed to happen, right? So after this, I'm going to tell you what is the last end of the indignation, right? Because this one gives a judgment to this one gives a judgment to this one gives a judgment to this one, and so on.
And who gives a judgment to that one?
Right, until the end, the last end of the indignation. So one nation gives an indignation to the other until the last end of the indignation. All right, so now he's given the understanding of this vision. The ram is the what? This is Medo-Persia, right? Medo-Persia. And the he-goat is what? Greece. And it's Greece, right? And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, right? Obviously that's Alexander the Great, right? And then there's the four horns, which is 4 kingdoms. Yeah. And they are generals. Seleucus, who came out of the south and defeated Antigonus. So he ruled the east now. And he went up against Cassander. And then he went up against Lysimachus. So now he becomes the king of the north. So Seleucus becomes the king of the north, and his only competition is the what? Ptolemy, which is the king of the south. All right. So these are the 4 kingdoms: Ptolemy, Seleucus, Cassander, and Lysimachus. All right. Okay. All right. We now know that, obviously, because it's all written down by in Daniel and Revelation, and by Uriah Smith. Okay. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to full. Now he's talking about these transgressors. Who's the transgressors? Transgression of desolation. That's Rome, right? A king of fierce countenance and understanding dark language. Why is it talking dark sentences? Because they don't understand. What do they understand? What languages do they understand? Aramaic and Hebrew. But what does Rome speak? A different language. It's Latin. It makes sense now? All right. It's talking a dark sentence. It's talking Latin. We don't understand it. What was that? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And his power shall be mighty, not by his own power. He gets it from another power. He always uses another kingdom to fight for him. He shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty. It will persecute God's people. And through his policy, he shall stand, cause craft to prosper. It's craft, right? Policy and craft. It will prosper in his hand. With his hand is what? Authority. And he shall magnify. What is shall? Gadal. He shall magnify himself in his heart. And by peace shall destroy many. And he shall stand up against the prince of princes. But he shall broken without. When is Rome broken without hand? What is without hand? Where do you get that symbolism from?
That's Daniel 2.
Daniel 2, right? What happens? It is the rock that hits, right? All these nations at the last end of the indignation is going to be broken with a rock without hand. So now we put in Daniel 2. What does Daniel 2 teach us? That this is what? Is Babylon. Now, obviously, we know that this is pagan Rome, and this is papal Rome. But Daniel 2 also teaches us that, that this is Babylon. Okay? This is Babylon. All right. Okay. All right. Oh, I for some reason, I put a blank space in there. All right? But anyway, this is the end of the indignation. All right. Okay. All right. When we see Daniel 2 here, we see that the Babylon is put in here, but we see a lot of gaps. Right? There are going to be gaps here. what's this? There's going to be a big gap here because we understand that the papal Rome will only go until 1798 because it received a deadly wound. We have a big gap here, and this will be filled in later, right? Okay, we'll fill it later. In the meantime, we have to understand what is the indignation, right? What is the indignation? Right from the Bible. O Assyria, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. The indignation of God is doled out to God's people by who? The Assyrians. This is the indignation, right? Okay, in Jeremiah, the Lord has opened his armory and has brought forth the weapons of his indignation. This is the work of the Lord God of the hosts in the land of the Chaldeans, the Babylonians in this indignation, right? Right? It is the wrath of God against who? God's people, because God's people had apostatized. And right. So they now have to be made captive and slaves, right? By the Assyrians and also the Babylonians, right?
Knew the language he was using.
Yeah, it was using
Knew about
this indignations, right? Indignations. Now that's going to be now the last indignation is that all the way till the end, right? All the way to the end. Okay. All right. What else has to suffer the indignation? In Lamentations 2, verse 6 and 7. The tabernacle has to, right? Because now, when the tabernacle is burnt by Rome, by Babylonians, is it because the Babylonians came in and desecrated it? No. Who desecrated? God's people desecrated the temple. That's why it was the indignation of God was on the sanctuary also, right? Sanctuary also, right?
It was spelled out earlier in Leviticus.
Yes. Yeah, the conditions, yeah. Leviticus 25 and 26, all right? So the indignation is also against the sanctuary, right? Okay. We can read this, but that's the reference. Okay. What is the indignation also? Therefore wait upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, and my assemble the kingdoms, to pour them mine indignations. So it's going to be on the kingdoms, right? And it's right here when it receives the indignation, right? At the last end of the indignation.
It's interesting to me that there's the last end. It seems to me that there's a first end.
There's going to be, because there's different. But the thing about how many indignations are there? There's multiple. There's indignation against the people. There's the indignation against the sanctuary. And there's indignation against the kingdoms. There's multiple different indignations. All right? Okay. All right, bear with me, we got to keep going here. So, when was the first time that the Lord's people was actually taken captive as a result of the indignation of God? When was it?
Assyria is mentioned first. You have to search history to see if Assyria is.
When was the first time God's people was taken away into captivity it was by Syria? In the time of Hoshea, the king of Assyria, he took Israel away. Why? Because the children of God, Israel had sinned. Right? That's why they have to suffer the indignation. So when did the indignation against the host start? With Hoshea. All right? And we know what year that was. Okay, we'll put that up. All right? For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam. And they departed from them until the Lord removed Israel out of his sight. And he did set all his servants as prophets. So Israel, the 10 northern kingdoms, were carried out of the land to Assyria. They never came back. The 10 last kingdoms were scattered, and they became Gentiles. they became Gentiles. Right?
This is 723.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the beginning of, I'm going to keep on this thought, okay? That's the beginning of the indignation, right? That's the first time the host was, that's the word. You know, we're not going to say that word. They were stamped upon.
That's right.
They were stamped upon, right? Okay, but will the indignation end? Yes, the indignation will end, right? And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined. So when you go to Daniel 11:36, when was the indignation accomplished? When the papacy stopped persecuting God's people. When? He received the deadly wound. So the indignation started with the time of Hoshea, the time of Assyria, all the way until the indignation ended when the papacy received the deadly wound, right?
It was determined.
It was determined,
Timepiece cut off.
right? You got that? Okay. All right, so we put that. What year was that? See, this is right. This is the last end of indignation, right?
723.
When was the beginning? This is Babylon right here. So we know this is Assyria. Okay, let me see. All right, where am I going with this? Okay, this is Assyria, right? Because Assyria came before Babylon. All right. I put a gap here because there's another kingdom here. There's the Assyrians. The Assyrians were fighting against who? Egyptians, right? And what did the Egyptians do? They gave indignation to the Assyrians because the Assyrians what? They were persecuting God's people. So they were defeated by the Egyptians. And what did the Egyptians do? He came down and he conquered and took away the son of Josiah. What was his name? Jehoahaz. And what did the king of the Pharaoh Necho did? He took Jehoahaz into captivity, right? He was taken into captivity. So we got to fill that in because that's Egypt. Egypt gave indignation to Assyria. And then after that, who conquered Egypt? Babylon. And Babylon conquered Judah too, right? And took who? Jehoiakim and Daniel, right? And now all the people were taken under the Babylonian right. So Assyria came first, and then Egypt came next, and Babylon came next, and then Medo Persia, and then Greece, and then pagan Rome, and then papal Rome. All right.
The pioneers understood it so
Yeah.
even if
You know?
says first the Assyrian kingdom ruled the world.
Right.
We don't see, they see the lions. They see
Right,
that
yeah.
Assyrians were one of those.
Yeah.
We only come to know about Babylon now.
Right. Yeah. See, the Assyrians and the Egyptians came first. All right. Because now the thing about this that we're not. What happened to? Now we're filling the gaps here. We got to fill in the gaps here. Who comes? Okay, I'm gonna have to say this is 723. Hoshea, right? Hoshea was taken captive, and the indignation ended when? 1798. All right. We're not going to count these dates, but you could. All right. But it ended here. What kingdoms fill in right here? What kingdom came out of the earth after the beast, the Revelation 13 beast came out of the water? Which it's United States, right? Oh, it's pretty easy, right? Right. That's Revelation 13. United States came afterwards, right? But we got to still fill this in. And when you fill this in, you have to go to Revelation 17. How many? All right. If I do this by memory, I'm going to have to do this by memory. How many kingdoms have passed?
Five fallen.
5 have fallen. All right. 5 have fallen. Okay, how many have fallen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the one that is United States. But there's going to be another one that comes afterward that's going to rule for a short period of time. Right. That's going to be the UN, United Nations, right? It's going to be rule a short time. And then the 8th kingdom, that 8th kingdom will reign because that 8th kingdom used to be a part of the 7. And this, who's that? It used to reign here, but now it's going to reign here. It's modern Rome now. Right? Okay. It used to be the 5th. It used to be part of the 7th. And I get it's the papacy. It's changing, right? It's changing, right? So you got pagan Rome, papal Rome. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 6th kingdom. This is the 7th kingdom. Then this is the 8th kingdom. 8? Is that 8 significant? What does 8 mean? The Sunday.
Yeah. The 8th arm of all the arms that have been mentioned. If you count the arms, Rome will make up the 8th.
Absolutely.
To look at it.
Now, here's another thing. The last indignation was when the little rock that is made out of, that is the carved without hand, hits the 10 toes. How many 10 kingdoms? Oh, I just said, how many kingdoms? 10, right? 10 kingdoms, right? Count the kingdoms here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is there a coincidence? It's the last end of the indignation, right? You get, this is the last end. Is this an indignation here? The indignation ends here, right? There's an end of indignation. Okay, so now we know that the paganism, or all these kingdoms tread upon the host, right? Tread upon the host. Now when did God's people now tread upon the sanctuary? All right, this is a very interesting one. Okay, this is a very interesting one. My question is, when was the sanctuary trodden by God's people, right? Right? God's people actually trodden the sanctuary first, right? So that way now the nations will come in and destroy the sanctuary, right? Which king was the first king ever in biblical time history that first put an altar of Baal in the sanctuary? No, it's not. No, it's not Solomon. Solomon made it, but it's not out. Not in the. He was the first one that is mentioned in the Bible that put a Baal altar in the sanctuary. No, it's not. It's not. It doesn't start with J.
Tell us which nation was ruling at the time.
No, it's I'm gonna. All right, Manasseh. Manasseh was 12 years old, and he was very wicked. Why? Because his mother did not teach him right. Right? His mother didn't teach him right. Right? And what did he do? He built up high places. And he made a grove. And he built altars what? In the house of the Lord. And he built altars of the hosts of heaven in the 2 courts of the house of the Lord. So when did the sanctuary first get trampled down by God's people? During the time of Manasseh. Right?
From Judah, right?
The time of, he's the king of Judah. Yes, absolutely. But he ruled for how many years? 55 years. He was one of the longest reigning kings, Manasseh. Because what happened? So what happened to him when he did all of this? He was captured. Okay, my question is, who captured him? Assyria. And where was he taken? He went to Babylon. This is very important. He was taken to Babylon. But what happened to him? What happened to him? He repented. And he returned and became king. He became king for 55 years. He came back.
He was tributary to the Assyrians.
Yes, but he was tributary still, right? But I call him the U-turn king. He made a U-turn, right? Yeah, that's good. That's good. He repented. Manasseh repented. He was the first king that ever put a Baal altar and the images of the grove in the house of the Lord. Manasseh. All right? Okay. All right. And when was the sanctuary cleansed? So when does the sanctuary... So when the sanctuary was trodden down by God's people, right? And then the sanctuary was burned by all these kingdoms, right? And it trampled down, the truth was trampled by the papacy. When was the sanctuary cleansed? At the end of the 2300 days. Then the sanctuary was cleansed. And that's at 1844. When did Manasseh get taken out to Babylon? 677. And when was the sanctuary cleansed? 1844. No, that's not 2300. You can count what that is. We'll keep that, you can count what that is. Yeah, all right? So this is how long the sanctuary was trodden, right? The sanctuary, because Manasseh started right here in 677. And it's been trodden for this long, and the host has been trodden for this long.
So it's a
Right?
sign that God's people, because history always repeats itself, it's a sign that God's people will always trample the sanctuary.
This is why the sanctuary message is always being perverted. It's perverted. Right? And the question is, how long shall be the vision? And the answer is, the sanctuary will be cleansed at the end of the 2300 days, right? 2300 days is right here, from 457 to 1844, right? Okay. Wow, this is, all right? You're starting to see this? And remember, we did it all from the Bible, right? We didn't use any Spirit of Prophecy quotes or any Pioneer quotes. Right? Okay. All right. The sanctuary is always being perverted by God's people. And they have to suffer the indignation. And all the apostasies that happens, and we see all the apostasies is related to the sanctuary message. Because the sanctuary message is a pillar of our faith. If we don't know the sanctuary, everything crumbles. And that sanctuary message stands on the what? The foundation, which is the third angel's message. And based on that, we understand October 22, 1844. Okay, I got a couple more, okay? All right. We got to finish this. All right. Okay, hold on. And the vision. And the vision of the Mareh, of the evening and the morning. So Daniel 8 said. And it's the vision of the Mareh. The Mareh is the vision of the evening and the morning. That's the vision of the 2300 days, right? This is the vision of 2300 days when he saw the two saints. Right? It is true. Wherefore, shut up thou the vision. Shut up thou the Chazown vision. Shut up this vision. Because it is not going to be understood for a long time. It's not going to be understood. When was it eventually understood? When the Millerites, when the Millerites, right? When the Millerites started understanding it, right? And Daniel fainted and was sick a certain days afterwards. And I rose up and did the thing's business. And I was astonished at the what? What vision? The Mareh vision. He was astonished because he didn't understand the Mareh vision. And when was he given the Mareh vision understanding? In Daniel 9. Because what was the Mareh vision? It's to complete the Daniel 8:14. The 70 weeks, right? The 70 weeks. So to understand Daniel 8:14, you have to understand Daniel 9, right? Yeah. He didn't understand it, right? He was given, okay, this is, the ram is the what? He already said it. A ram is the Medo-Persia. Hey, this is Greece. He understood this, right? He was given the understanding of the Chazown vision, but he says, shut it up because it's still not going to be completely understood until the Millerites will understand it, right? Okay? But then he said, all right, we're almost there, 27, all right? And we know this is the four generals become 4 kingdoms, all right? Okay. All right, so now we understand. Then I heard one saint speaking to another, right? The daily. Now we understand the daily, that's stamped on God's people, right here. And the transgression, that's stamped on the truth of the sanctuary. Until the sanctuary was cleansed, right? Okay. Until the sanctuary was cleansed, right? So this is the understanding of Daniel 7 and 8 in a very fast study to show the sanctuary message being trodden underfoot by God's people, right? So even now, well, all these apostasies has something to attacking our foundations, right? Attacking 3 angels' message, attacking October 22, 1844, attacking the sanctuary message, and what is another one of our foundations? The person and the personages of God and Christ is our foundation. It's being attacked. It's always been attacked, right? And the Word of God and the Word of the living God is our foundation, right? And that's being attacked. And if we don't know these histories and all these understandings, what will happen to our faith and when we're going to be tested is going to waver. When we don't know these things, it's going to waver. Because people are going to you are going to be tested on your understanding of truth, not what somebody else's understanding of the truth. It's going to be your understanding. So we have to understand our foundational messages, right? Yeah. And
God's people polluting the sanctuary in
Yeah.
terms of our apostasy.
That's always
God is God. He declares the end from the beginning. Is he placed in the rod in the kingdom of USA, UN, and even the papacy to come? Do you believe now that he has placed a rod in their hand too?
yeah, there's gonna be a time because the America is going to put a Sunday law, right? And then that's the indignation, right? And what happened? The United Nations in the whole world will put a universal Sunday law. They said that's why it's a United Nations. It will, right? And then the papacy will take over. That's the 8th beast will take over.
They're just trying to get back what they had before.
Sorry, yeah. They had it, they were building up until here, right? Then they lost it here. Then they built it up again. So they were persecuting God's people, right, in this time period. They built it up, and we're going to have another dark ages, right? Because they built it up, they fell down. Oh, yeah. It'll be cut short because there's nobody left over. If otherwise, he's going to do it over.
Where we are in the middle of this, how far from Buffalo and into the Blue United States?
Oh, we're right here. We're right here.
Very close.
We're right here.
You know exactly where you are.
Yeah.
We see that the different Sunday laws or some form of enactment, it's being done in Europe right now. Germany, Norway, 10 other nations are doing it. So it's just for the
Yeah, we're done.
It's just for the United States
We're
to
done.
Pray first.
officially do it, then everybody else follows.
Yeah,
Because they have all this stuff set up already in other countries.
right. Okay, and that is a